Today I want to tell you about a book called All My Rage by Saba Tahir. This is a beautiful book. It's one of my favorites that I've read so far this year, but it does deal with some very intense subjects. And the author does something that I love, which is she lists some of the content or trigger warnings at the very beginning of the book. So if you do decide to read it, please make sure that you take a look at those content warnings before continuing on to read, just to make sure that there isn't something that you might be especially sensitive to. So All My Rage tells the story of Noor and Salahuddin, two teens growing up in Juniper, California, a small town where they stand out both for being Muslim and Pakistani in a community that is mostly white and Christian. Noor lives with Chachu, her uncle, and his American wife, and they have a very strained relationship, and her home life is not great. I want to read you a passage from the book where Noor explains how she lost her parents and wound up living with her uncle in California. I was 6 when an earthquake hit my village in Pakistan. Chachu drove for 2 days from Karachi because the flights to northern Punjab were down. When he reached the village, he crawled over the rubble to my grandparents' house where my parents lived too. He tore at the rocks with his bare hands. The emergency workers told him it was useless. His palms bled. His nails were ripped out. Everyone was dead. But Chachu kept digging. He heard me crying, trapped in a closet. He pulled me out, got me to a hospital, and didn't leave my side. Chachu brought me to America where he'd been in college, left his engineering internship at the military base, and put down a payment on a failing liquor store with the little cash he'd saved up. And that's where he stayed for the past 11 years, just so we could afford to live. He gave up everything for me. Now it's my turn. So Noor is a senior in high school, and after graduation, Chachu expects her to work at the liquor store so that he can finally finish college. Noor does not want to spend the rest of her life stuck in Juniper working at the store, so she has been applying to colleges in secret, but so far she has only gotten rejection letters. Her last hope is UCLA, and she knows that it's a long shot. Salahuddin and his mother Misbah are the closest things to a family that Noor has, or at least they had been until the fight. As the book begins, Sal and Noor have not been on speaking terms for 6 months, and Noor has cut off contact with Misbah as well. But Misbah is ill, so Noor relents and goes to visit her. See, Misbah has kidney disease, but it has gone mostly untreated because the family does not have health insurance. And during her visit, Misbah collapses and Noor has to call the ambulance to take her to the hospital, where she's admitted directly into the ICU. Not only has Misbah been sick, but Sal's father struggles with alcoholism, and the motel that the family owns is not doing well. Sal's phone has been shut off, so Noor has to leave him a note to meet them at the hospital. By the time Sal arrives, his father is causing a scene, and Sal has to take him home so that he doesn't get arrested. Only Noor is there when Misbah whispers her last word: forgive. Misbah's death brings about an uneasy truce between Sal and Noor. Sal is filled with grief and feeling crushed by the responsibilities of taking care of his father and the motel. Though she's still angry about what happened between them 6 months before, Noor can't turn away from the best friend that she's ever known when he's suffering. And she can't forget Misbah's last word to her. With bills piling up and his father no help at all, Sal is desperate for money, and he needs to make a lot in order to pay off the debts they owe and save the motel. Unbeknownst to Noor, he begins working with a local drug dealer to make a quick buck, never intending for it to last long. This choice ends up having consequences that will be life-changing for both of them. So like I said, I really love this book, and if you're the type of reader who gets drawn in by very compelling characters, I think you will love it too. As I mentioned before, it is a very intense book and the author does not pull any punches. So make sure to look at the trigger warnings listed in the front of the book before you begin. And be prepared to feel all the intense emotions and have your heart broken by these unforgettable characters.